make sure everybody knows. Again, they can follow us. We do an awful lot of communication via our social media channels at GSO Chamber, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at GSO Chamber. So if you want to be up to speed on the very latest, we do update our social media very, very often, many times a day. So you'll want to follow us there. We send out weekly emails to our membership with a lot of important updates as well. So make sure that you're getting those. We want to make sure that we're staying in constant communication through this process. Again, we did daily action calls. We kind of backed off that a little bit, but as we said at the end of those, we reserved the right to call an action call when the need arose, and it has arisen now with a couple of programs. And so the first guest that we have with us this morning is Marty Lawing. Marty Lawing, as many of you all know, hopefully all of you know, is the county administrator, the county manager for Guilford County. He has been in that role since May of 2013. Prior to that, he spent 12 years in Brunswick, North Carolina. He's got an awful lot of great experience, is very well respected within the city and county manager profession, does a fantastic job at Guilford County. And he is helping the county navigate its way through $93 million worth of federal COVID-19 aid that it received a few weeks ago. And as he will tell you, a good portion of that has been earmarked and is ready to go, ready for distribution to small businesses throughout Guilford County. And so with that, Marty, let me just turn it over to you, and you can talk a little bit just in general about the program. I believe the applications launched yesterday. We've been talking about the program for a few weeks now. So the rubber really hit the road yesterday. Talk to us about the impetus behind the program, and perhaps how you qualify and how you apply for the small business relief fund at the county level. And
okay.
Thank you for joining us. I need to do that too. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate that.
Sure. Glad you asked, and it'll help us get the word out on our program. So yeah, we're excited about this program, and it is a result of the coronavirus relief funds that the county received, $93.7 million, primarily due to the fact that our population is over 500,000. So we're fortunate in that, and only 4 local governments in North Carolina received direct funding from the Department of Treasury, and that's Guilford County, Wake County, Mecklenburg County, and the City of Charlotte. So the others received theirs through the state in much smaller amounts. So the commissioners, we've got a lot of needs in the community related to the virus, and one of the areas that we wanted to address was the impact that has been on the small businesses that had to close or modify their operations as a result of the stay-at-home orders, et cetera. So we came up with the idea of a small business grant program. We had some delays with concerns of whether or not counties or cities could do grants programs, but we worked through that. So like you said, we went live yesterday with our grant application. And small businesses, which we define as businesses that have 25 or fewer employees and gross receipts or sales of less than $2 million, would be eligible to apply for a maximum grant of $10,000 to help with relief from the issues associated with COVID-19. So it'll be a first come, first served basis. We did open up our applications yesterday and did receive about 200. We learned some things in the first day from a technology standpoint. We've already revised some of our eligibility criteria. It seems that probably close to half of our applicants had received federal assistance through the PPP or one of the other programs, and in some fairly small amounts as well. So it was disqualifying that we didn't want to have our initial thought was we didn't want to see double dipping. So we disqualified you if you received federal assistance, but it appeared that a lot of the businesses had received fairly small amounts, and it was going to disqualify them from our grant program. So we've waived that from being a total disqualification. And now if whatever amount you received less than $10,000, we would reduce your grant amount by that amount. So we're modifying that. So people that applied yesterday and were disqualified will be eligible today if they received less than $10,000 from one of the federal programs. So we're excited about how that change might look today. Some of the primary focus that the commissioners wanted to focus on was helping small businesses with payroll, employee salaries, wages, rent or mortgage payments, and utilities. So those are the criteria that applicants will see on the application, and they'll list what those costs were for March, April, and May, and that'll factor into what their grant amount would be. So it's basically focused on losses due to COVID. Some of the other eligibility requirements is you cannot be a publicly traded company. You have to be in good standing with the county as far as any fees owed, delinquent fees owed, or tax liens, etc. You have to have been in business on February 29th, right at the start of this whole issue. And you had to at least be in business for 6 months dating back to October 1st, 2019. The purpose of us doing this is that hopefully business will be able to start back and stay in business. So one of the requirements is that there's a good faith effort if you accept a grant that you will try to be fully operational and stay in business for at least 6 more months or longer. The goal is longer, but at a minimum of 6 months following receipt of the grant funds. It's fairly simple. We tried to keep it simple in that for verification of gross receipts and some of those factors, we are requiring a copy of a W-9 and the most recent tax return. If they hadn't filed their 2019 yet, they can submit a 2018 tax return and their most recent profit and loss statement or financial statement. So it's fairly easy. Most of the people were able to navigate our system fairly easy yesterday. But we did, like I said, the main issue we had yesterday was we were disqualifying people that received federal assistance, and we decided fairly quickly we needed to change that. We did have some of the applicants that had incomplete. They didn't fill out some of the blanks some of the lines that had required information that we needed. Some people didn't sign their W-9. But those were some of the problems we received the first day. But it's just,
right.
The goal is to get money out quickly.
Right.
We've got about 20 people reviewing applications, and we've got about 7 people in a call center. If people have issues, there's a phone number on our website they can call. We took the application down last night, and it should be up here in about an hour, and we think things will go much smoother today. But yeah, the goal is to get money out quick. I have to sign all of the application form becomes a grant agreement, and I'll have to sign those, and we'll award grants until the $20 million is expired.
Awesome. And how quickly can that happen, Marty? And first of all, let me say, if anybody on the call has a question, we have a chat function. Hopefully everybody by now is familiar with Zoom and understands the chat function. We've all become experts on Zoom during this crisis. So if you've got a question, please put it in the chat function. But Marty, I guess my question is, how quickly do the funds come out after the application comes in? Do you have a feel for that?
We say in the program overview and the frequently asked questions, 7 to 14 days, but our goal is significantly less than that. We'll probably cut checks 2 or 3 times a week, and and based on how many applications we get that are approved and sent to me, I will stay here as long as I need to sign those and get those to finance the next day. So we give ourselves more time than we actually need. And we, like I said, we say 7 to 14 days, but probably the goal is less than a week.
Excellent. Excellent. Marty, you mentioned a number of the callers yesterday that called in and were going to either be disqualified or didn't sign or that sort of thing. Did they leave contact information so that you can get back to them? Should we be out in the community saying, hey, if you called and you didn't, they told you you didn't qualify, please call back in? How are you handling the ones that you felt like you had to turn away yesterday or may have had incomplete applications?
We have their email, and they get, depending on if you're disqualified or approved or disapproved, you get a kind of a generic email back. But we have their email and their phone numbers, and our call center staff is going to call them back today and ask them to reapply.
Good. I know you and I had talked about, the fact that PPP and other federal funding was going to disqualify them, but I really do, and I appreciate y'all landing where you did on just reducing the grant amount from the county by the amount of other funding, federal funding or other COVID-19 funding that they may have received. So thank you for doing that. Sure. I guess my other question would be, before I turn it over to the group, what kind of record keeping? It sounds to me like you all made this record keeping easy because it's backwards looking rather than forwards looking. So show us what happened to you in March, April, and May, and let us make up for the expenses that you had in March, April, and May, rather than having it go forward looking and having to keep an awful lot of paperwork and records going forward. Talk to us about what's going to be required paperwork wise, and is there going to be a reporting required in the future for those who receive grant funds?
Yes, the agreement that they will, when their application, once it's approved, if they are approved for a grant, actually becomes a grant agreement. And in that agreement, there's certain conditions, and one of which is that the county reserves the right to perform an audit, and our internal audit department would do that. We don't know, one of the requirements that we have to sign, the county is accountable for how the money's used. Whether we give money to municipalities or small business, et cetera, we will be audited as well. So we have to maintain that accountability. So one of the things we're requiring for a business is, if they say they received federal grant or loan, then they need to provide a copy of that loan agreement, and we'll have that as documentation. And just to kind of maintain that accountability, we're looking at the tax forms to make sure they match up with the information that they put on their application. But it is focused on what were the losses incurred since the pandemic and the stay-at-home orders were initiated. So that's pretty much March, April, and May. And the commissioners wanted to focus on those three areas I talked about: rent or mortgage payments, utilities, and payroll. One of the issues is that we're going to work through today and clarify on our application overnight is that some of the sole proprietors, we're not putting anything in the salary and payroll line item. So it looks like, they're kind of, it's reducing the amount that they're eligible for. So we said, right, well, we could go down and look at their profit and loss statement or their tax forms and see what their profits were and count that in the salary. So we're trying to clarify that on the application too.
Gotcha.
We want, like I said, our goal is to get as much money as we can out in the hands of the businesses. And the way the application is set up, it looks like some of them were trying to make it look like their hardship was worse than it was by reducing their numbers. And actually, by reducing their numbers, it reduces the grant. So they really need to put accurate numbers on what their actual losses were and read the instructions closely.
Gotcha. So there's no real paperwork. Let me make sure I've got this straight in my head. There's no real paperwork going forward. Once you get the grant, you will have reviewed all the paperwork. The money goes to you. There's no report out 6 months from now, 9 months from now. You all reserve the right to go in and make sure that everything was done appropriately. Correct?
That's correct. We may, if we get word that someone didn't use the money appropriately, et cetera, then we may follow up with them, with our internal audit folks. But we'd rather not have to do much of that, to be honest with you.
Great.
If we get everything straight on the front end, all the documentation straight on the front end, there's really no paper involved with this. It's all an electronic application. It's reviewed by a reviewer and then a technical reviewer. Then they send it to me and I sign it electronically. Then it goes to finance and they cut a check. So,
awesome.
And so all of our records will be electronically. The applicant will get a copy of the signed application, approved application back for their records. So we think we've got a fairly good system. Hopefully we won't have as many bugs going forward, and it'll be a seamless process. And actually the system we're using is called Seamless Docs.
Awesome. Great. And I see Holly West has put the link to the application in the chat, so anybody who's on the call can take a look and see. It is, and when I went to your landing page, your front page of the county website yesterday, it was right there front and center.
Yes.
The link to it, so it hits you. It's great. Hits you right in the face when you land on the county's site. I don't see any questions here. I just would probably ask one more, Marty. And you said, we've got $93 million at the county level. What are some other uses of that $93 million that you can share with us?
A significant portion will be used to reimburse the county for certain costs we've had with dealing with the pandemic, for testing, medical cost, personal protective equipment, et cetera, reimbursement for some of the salaries for public safety and public health staff. We've also have a category called Lifelines, and that will go to, we're providing $1.5 million to Greensboro United Way and $1 million to High Point United Way to allocate to nonprofit organizations. So nonprofits cannot apply through this program, the Small Business Assistance Grant Program, but they can apply to that program, and it should be up and ready for applications on Monday. We're giving about $2 million to our rural fire departments to cover some of their costs they've incurred. And there's a part of that Lifeline allocation will be to address homeless issues, and that was originally a allocation of $5 million. We know we're going to have to increase that for the Lifeline category going forward. We also give some funding to the municipalities that did not receive any direct funding from the for some reason they decided that money should all go to the county. Even the state funding goes to the counties. Counties are not required to assist municipalities, but I think most counties are sharing some of their money with the municipalities. So we're doing that as well. And we're holding back about $25 million in case the guidance changes. And we might use it for other purposes, or if our small business assistance grant, if we use all of that 20 million, the board might say, and there's still a need there, they may appropriate more for the small business assistance grant program. So we wanted to give ourselves some flexibility going forward.
Great. Well, thank you again, Marty. We appreciate it. And my understanding is all that money's got to be spent by December 31st. So
yes,
there's some urgency to this, and I know there's going to be a lot of urgency from our small business owners and managers. That's for sure. I'm not going to have to worry about them. So
That's right. Okay.
well, excellent, excellent, Marty. Thank you for your time. We
Okay.
appreciate it. We know you're busy. I can hear the phone ringing in the background, so
Okay.
we'll let you go with
All right.
we'll let you go with our appreciation and again thank the commissioners for their willingness to step in and help our small businesses in Guilford County.
Absolutely.
Very much appreciated.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too, Marty.
Thanks.
And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lou Ann Flanders Steck, and Lou Ann's going to take us through phase 2 of this call. We've got some other programs we want to talk to you about. Lou Ann, live from CoLab, take it away from here.
Okay, thank you, Brent. I'm really excited that we have 2 amazing opportunities for small business funding that we've talked about today. The county grant is phenomenal. And like you, Brent, I was really excited to hear that the prior federal funding did not disqualify now. So that's really beneficial to our small businesses, as well as their willingness to work with sole proprietors on salaries, because that is a real issue. And I know that Mark can talk more about that if he has time. But right now, I want to introduce Mark Hagenbuch. He's the director of the Small Business Center at Guilford Technical Community College as the regional director for the Piedmont Triad region. And he's chair of the North Carolina Small Business Center CMS user group. He joined GTCC in 2001 and came to the college after spending 6 years at the SBTDC, the Small Business and Technology Development Center, as a business counselor. So Mark, you're going to talk to us about R cubed. And we can share a little bit of information about that and then ask some questions as well. So I'm going to let you take it away from here, and you're making me hungry for popcorn and a movie.
Thanks, Len, and I apologize and and both appreciate the the popcorn picture that I've put up. That's I guess in honor of my family. We're missing the movies these days, so we're excited when that comes back. Let me also re-echo first my excitement and appreciation for Guilford County putting that the grant program together and making it from everything that I've heard. I've not gone through the application personally yet with any of our folks, but I'm sure that will change soon. That it is easy on the paperwork or electronic paperwork side going forward. And I'm also excited about our R cubed program, our Reboot, Recover, and Rebuild program, which is actually a statewide initiative. This is the Small Business Center Network, which is all 58 community colleges across North Carolina. Each small business center was given an equal allocation out of some CARES funding that the legislature in Raleigh put into the community college system. And the good news is that it is statewide. It is not just Guilford County. It is across the state. I don't have as big of a oomph and a big punch like the county does, where we're not actually putting money in people's accounts. But what the R Cube program is about is helping small business owners, be they sole proprietors or owning a business with, a lot of the folks we work with are similar to where the county is, 25 or less, 100 and less employees, to provide direct service. So we can, if there's a company that has a need or questions about bringing employees back online, so there's some HR issues, the RQ program allows us to work with a local expert, a local business, local HR specialist, and actually pay for that service for them to work with that business to get the assistance that they need. It could also be maybe renegotiating a lease to fit the new business model that's there, and different things like that. And so there are two main ways, and we're proud and for this to work for us, because we too have a deadline. The county's lucky, they got an extra day. We have to have our funds spent by December 30th. I don't know why it's December 30th, but that's what's there. So there's a time crunch for that to go on. But there's two ways that our program works, and one is that we want to, starting hopefully by the end of this month, start to have some office hours. And I will give you credit for that great term and concept, Luann, but really more kind of day-long programs, likely with a theme, and it could be marketing, it could be digital marketing, it could be HR, but we will engage local content experts, local professionals, and there will be 1 hour blocks for your office hour visits, kind of like going back to school or going to see, the doctor or dentist, but you'll have an appointment time. There'll be a slot. Promise you won't have to wait for 3 hours like you do in a waiting room for a doctor's office or anything to get in, but there'll be hour-long slots where it will be direct conversation. So the business owner or the man, whoever the appropriate person is, but probably the owner of the business, will be working with that professional, dealing with their issues. It's not a webinar or anything like that. It'll happen online, but it is direct, specific assistance that will be delivered that way. So those office hours, and we expect to have a number of days of office hours and also a number of different topics. And when we go to set the topics, one of the things that we're working on to help us with that is, and I know everybody's surveyed and questioned and emailed to death, but we're looking forward to working with the Greensboro Chamber, the Business High Point Chamber, and Guilford Merchants Association to help get a kind of a survivability index out to local businesses to help them identify pain points and need that's out there, so we can get a feel for what the need in the community is, and then use that to help us provision those resources that we have available. So that's something, it's not quite ready for prime time yet. It is, we're trying to make it as brief as we can. We don't want it to be the 37-page War and Peace version of a survey. We want it to be brief, to the point, but easy for people to share their need.
Mark, I'm going to interrupt real quick and ask a question on that specifically. So there are a few topics that are kind of obvious, and the purpose of this survey is for our community to tell you where you need to focus, correct?
That is correct. Okay.
So just everybody that's on this call and listening to this call, understand that that's the purpose of the survey. It's really to help them know what you need, rather than to any other data points. So please complete that survey when you get it.
Yes, and you're right, Luann. I mean, there are some obvious points, but I don't want to. I mean, I don't know anywhere close to everything, and so we're really looking for that community input to help us really identify where the right needs are for us to help identify not just the content experts and professionals, but also the right type of training. Because along with those office hours, we are also going to be doing direct service with a business where it might be something that they need more than an hour. They may need to retool their website to add or enhance an e-commerce component. So we might be looking at a local web developer to pair with them, where through these dollars we would be able to pay the web developer to actually do that work for the business. So that way, I mean, we're not giving them a grant, but we are providing that payment to the resource that they need, where they get the direct benefit out of it. And so right now, and I'm working with our marketing department to make it. I'm not quite as easy as the county, where it shows up front and center on our little part of the website that I see. And thank you for linking to our website at Guilford Tech in the chat. But and I'm seeing all sorts of weird stuff on the screen now. But there is right now you can get to, and we're using our kind of a counseling request as our phase one of the application right now, but hopefully they'll be
That didn't work. Sorry, I was trying to
No.
share your flyer and it's not working right. Apologies.
no, and it could be something that PDFs and Zoom, at least for me, don't always work well, but there is, if you use that link in the chat to go to our site, you'll be able to see, it takes a little bit of scrolling right now, but there's actually a place where folks can request counseling. And that's our first step. Number one, it gets us a little bit of information about the owner and the business, but more importantly, it puts them under our statewide confidentiality agreement. And that's an important first step for us, because the businesses that we're working with, we want to respect privacy and confidentiality and keep all of that information between us and the business. And that also will allow us to, when we engage a content expert, to keep that relationship not under wraps, but proprietary as well, where and we're not publishing lists of folks that are getting help, but we do want people to identify. And right now it is first come, first serve. So we don't have the survivability piece out yet, but we will be. And I wish I had a call center with 10 people and 20 people looking over applications. It's, this is half of the Small Business Center staff here, and Wendy Brockman, the other, the more important piece of the Small Business Center. We are locally, going to be the folks going through the applications and interest, communicating to people that their information has been received, and then also working to do the matchmaker and also setting up the office hours. And like I said earlier, though, this is not something that we can do on our own. I mean, we need to leverage our partnerships in the business community, and that's why I'm so grateful and thankful to the Chamber for giving me this opportunity, because it is groups like Chambers and GMA that can help get the word out to the community, and also to your members, that there are these resources. And when Brent started the call, he was right that there are definitely there are definitely things that are front and center right now. But I think the more we can keep getting the word out about great programs like the county grants, like the RQ program, to let people know that there is still help that's out there. And this is, I wish we had, money that we could give like the county, but when the legislature funded this program, they said very specifically that it is for direct service, not donation to the businesses.
So I'm going to clarify that one more way. So these dollars don't go direct to the small businesses that have needs, but it goes to the service providers that are willing and able to support the small businesses and what they need done.
And things are breaking up a little on my end. I've got a spotty connection, but I believe that you are correct, Luann, that the money is used to pay the service provider, be it a marketing company, be it an attorney, be it an accountant, be it an HR professional, who will then provide direct service to that local business. And the businesses do need to be impacted by COVID-19. And right now we're kind of on the honor system, because at least in my mind, it's not real difficult for any business to show that they've been impacted by COVID-19. So yes, it's businesses who have a particular need, and this isn't just kind of our traditional things with helping people put business plans together and things like that, which we're still doing, but this is really, we're seeing more for existing businesses that have a particular need related to kind of reopening, rebuilding, recovering, rebranding, whatever the case is, and we're hoping that we can provide that assistance through that direct partnership and provision of service from local experts, local content experts and professionals, and through those office hours where they get that opportunity to have a conversation, to ask specific questions and get direct advice. And this is, it's not suggestions. I mean, this is paid professional service. So, if they're renegotiating a lease, it's not a hypothetical. Their lease will be reviewed, and and that attorney or contract specialist, whatever they are, will be able to get them something that is a usable product for them in the business.
Right. So from that perspective, this is, and we put you a little bit on the spot because all of the I's have not been dotted and the T's crossed on this program, but we wanted to make sure that everybody knew about it. But as soon as you've got an application process and all of those details, I commit to our small businesses that will help promote that via social media and newsletters, so that they know what that process is. Correct? We can help you do that, and you'll have that in the next week or so.
Yes, it is. This we had access to these dollars, and the program started on Monday. So June 1st is when this kicked off. So it is definitely early, and we are scrambling both statewide to get good information and guidance that's out there, and also get the materials so that we can meet that deadline of December 30th to deploy and use all of the funding, but more importantly, to get the assistance and benefit in place to our businesses and business owners and entrepreneurs as quickly as we can, because there's still need now. There's going to be need, just like there was from March to now, and we want to do our part to help people move things forward.
And is there a criteria like there is with the county that you were in business? You were still in business as of February, I think 29th, and you had been in business for 6 months. Are those criteria set at this point?
To my knowledge, they are not, but I believe it's been pretty standard that, being in business, on or before March 1st or February 29th, because for there to be an impact, if you started the business May 29th, there could be an impact, but a lot of that would have already been put, would have taken place already. So, this is a moving target for us right now, and so as more details and guidance becomes available, it'll be my job and incumbent on me to share that with the people that are applying and that we're working with, and with our partners that are helping us to market and promote the program. But it's right now, like I said, it's really it's kind of common sense in the honor system right now in terms of we know that there are plenty of businesses in need, and as they ask for help, we want to be able to not only document that help, but to be able to get them in the queue for whatever we might be able to offer. And for some folks, it may be their request might be too big for what we can afford. We're kind of looking at an informal cap of per business of probably around $500. So that's in the scope of things, it's not a $10,000 grant from the county, but and that 500 is not firm. There could be some that need less than that. It might be they need an hour with an accountant to go over a budget or part of their PPP forgiveness application, and we can definitely help with that. And there may be some that are a little bit more, but if there's somebody that's got a $30,000 need for retooling of a sales campaign, that we would probably need to work and find some other resources that might be more appropriate for that scope of project.
Okay, well, Victor asked what are the parameters in deciding who can benefit, funding limit, et cetera, and then the business size, employees, and sales. And
yeah, and right now we don't have anything formal in writing. I mean, informally, and I'll say it during this, but there's nothing that would back it up. I believe the county's size standard for employees, 25 or less, and sales less than 2 million, being in business, at least prior to February 29th, 2020, all fit with, our typical customer that's there. So I believe that's there. That's a good fit. And it also fits with where a good bit of the need is. We definitely don't have anything tied to other federal assistance since we're not granting money to anyone. So someone could have got a PPP loan or an economic injury disaster loan, grant and or loan that's there, and they are perfectly eligible and encouraged to participate in the program. Since we're not giving them any more money, what we're doing is paying. And to me, that's kind of a double benefit where we're hoping that we're giving new and more business to the providers, to the content experts, along with getting that benefit to keep the doors open for the business owners and the entrepreneurs as well. And that coffee's slowly kicking in. As far as paperwork and requirements, there is one requirement of this program, and that is that the people that those that are participating agree to take part in one survey, probably at the end of December or in early January, to look at what benefit they might have got out of the work through that program. So that's the requirement, but it's an electronic request, and we'll bug people 3 times to do it, but that's really it. There's no audits. I don't have an internal audit department or anything like this, and since it's we're not worried about how they spent the money. We're worried about how we spend the money with the office hours and the local professionals. So that's the payment is completing that request and the survivability piece, so we know where to go, and that survey.
Great.
Pretty painless overall.
Great. Well, Mark, we've talked about this a couple of times, and I have to admit I'm really pleased because, as you mentioned, this is kind of a two-sided opportunity for our community. We get to help the small businesses that have been impacted by COVID, but we also get to support our experts that have existing businesses in the community that can help these. And making those connections is always beneficial to the community, as well as both businesses that you're working with. So I think we don't have any other questions. So I'm gonna wrap this up unless somebody's got another question. Feel free to put it in the chat room. But at this point, Mark, I want to thank you, and I want to thank Marty, even though he's left the call, for joining us this morning. It really is, as I work with small businesses and entrepreneurs every day, it's great that we are continuing to support them with these grants, direct payments to companies, to businesses that have been impacted, but also supporting the businesses as they restart. And you're R-cubed, and I can't see my flyer, so it's Reboot. Remind me again.
Recover and rebuild.
Reboot, recover, and rebuild. So thank you for sharing what you know today. And like I said earlier, we commit to helping share the details of that program as soon as they're available to our constituents and communities. So thank you all. This has been recorded. If you missed anything or joined us later, had to leave early, we invite you to go listen to it again at greensboro.org. You can find all of the 44 daily action calls that we've done previously there as well as a resource guide and many, many other resources for small businesses as they navigate the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic impact. So thank you all. Have a great Thursday, and we will talk to you again next week as we look to reinitiate a weekly conversation with our community as the chamber. So thank you all. Have a great day.